I still remember the exact moment my sister decided to destroy me in front of everyone. The sun was burning above us, children were laughing near the water, and music played softly across the private beach resort my family had rented for the weekend. From the outside, it looked perfect, but my family had always been good at pretending. I stood near the edge of the water, wearing a long white cover-up over my swimsuit, trying to ignore the stares. Even after all these years, I still hated showing my scars. The marks stretched across my shoulder and down my back. Reminders of a night I had spent trying to save strangers, while my own life almost disappeared in flames. But nobody there knew that story. At least, not yet. My younger sister Vanessa lifted her sunglasses and laughed loudly enough for half the beach to hear. "Oh my God, Claire," she said, shaking her head dramatically. "You still cover yourself like that? We're at a beach, not a funeral." A few cousins chuckled nervously. I forced a smile. "I'm comfortable like this." But Vanessa wasn't finished. She never was. She walked closer, holding her phone like she was recording a joke for social media. "No, seriously," she laughed. "People are going to think something's wrong with you." Something inside me tightened. For years, Vanessa had treated me like a disappointment. She hated that people once admired me. Before the accident, before the scars, I had been the confident one, the successful one, the sister people listened to. After the fire, everything changed. People stared at me differently. Some looked at me with pity. Others looked away completely. And Vanessa loved every second of it. "You know," she continued loudly, "if I looked like that, I'd never step outside." The words hit harder than I expected. My mother stayed silent. Beneath her umbrella, my father pretended not to hear. That hurt more than Vanessa's cruelty. I felt my throat burning as dozens of strangers nearby glanced toward me. Some looked uncomfortable. Others simply watched the drama unfold like entertainment. I turned to leave, but what I didn't know that day was that someone else had been listening carefully. An older man sitting several feet away slowly stood from his beach chair. He wore simple clothes, sunglasses, and a navy cap pulled low over his face. Quiet, calm, unnoticed, until he spoke. "That's enough." His voice wasn't loud, but the entire beach suddenly went silent. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Excuse me, this is a family matter." The man removed his sunglasses slowly and looked directly at her. "No," he said firmly. "This is about respect." Noticed people nearby suddenly whispering, "Eh?" Hotel employee froze in shock. Then I realized why. The quiet man standing beside the ocean wasn't just some stranger. He was Admiral Raymond Hale, one of the most respected military leaders in the country, and somehow he knew exactly who I was. Vanessa's confident smile faded instantly. "You know her?" she asked awkwardly. The Admiral looked at me with something I hadn't seen in years. Respect. Real respect. "She saved 23 sailors during the Pacific Fleet fire 3 years ago," he said calmly, "including my son." The world around me seemed to stop breathing. My family stared at me in complete shock. Vanessa blinked rapidly. "What?" I lowered my eyes, suddenly unable to move. I had spent years hiding that part of my life, not because I was ashamed of what I did, but because remembering it hurt too much. The Admiral continued quietly. "While everyone else was running away from that burning dock, your sister ran directly into it." Small murmurs spread across the beach. "She suffered permanent injuries, saving people she didn't even know," he added, "including young officers trapped below deck." Vanessa's face lost all color, but the Admiral wasn't. Angry. That made it even more powerful. He looked disappointed. "You mocked scars that were earned through courage," he said. "That says more about you than it ever will about her." I felt tears building in my eyes. as memories came, rushing back. The fire, the smoke, the screams, the moment the ceiling collapsed behind me while I carried an injured sailor out into the rain. For years after the accident, I couldn't sleep properly. I couldn't stand mirrors. I stopped attending public events. I stopped dating. I stopped believing anyone could look at me without seeing damage. And through all of it, Vanessa kept reminding me how uncomfortable my scars made other people feel. But what shattered me most wasn't her cruelty. It was my parents' silence. Even standing there now, exposed in front of strangers, they said nothing. The Admiral slowly turned toward them. "You should be proud of your daughter," he said firmly. Neither of them answered. That silence finally broke something inside me. For years, I had begged for acceptance from people who only valued appearances. I kept shrinking myself so others could stay comfortable, until everything changed that afternoon. Vanessa suddenly forced a nervous laugh. Well, she never told anyone. I looked directly at her. For the first time all day, "You never asked." The beach became painfully quiet again. Then the Admiral reached into his pocket and handed me a folded card. "The Navy Charity Gala is next Friday," he said. "We'd be honored if you attended as our guest speaker." I stared at the invitation in disbelief. "I haven't spoken publicly in years," I whispered. He smiled gently. "Maybe it's time." That night, I sat alone on the balcony of my hotel room, listening to waves crash below. For the first time in years, I stopped seeing my scars as something ugly. They were proof I survived, proof I protected people, proof I mattered. But Vanessa wasn't done trying to destroy me. The next morning, I discovered she had uploaded the beach confrontation online. At first, I panicked. Millions of people could see me, see my scars, see my humiliation. But then something unexpected happened. The video spread everywhere, and people weren't mocking me, they were supporting me. Comments poured in from strangers around the world, calling me brave, strong, inspiring. Meanwhile, Vanessa's cruelty became impossible to hide. Brands cut ties with her influencer accounts within days. People who once praised her beauty now questioned her character, and for the first time in her life, Vanessa understood what public shame actually felt like. A week later, I stood backstage at the Navy Charity Gala, staring at my reflection. My scars were visible tonight, completely visible. Part of me still wanted to hide beneath layers of fabric and disappear into the crowd. But another part of me, the stronger part, was finally tired of hiding. "You ready?" the Admiral asked softly beside me. I took a deep breath. "No," I admitted honestly. He smiled. "That usually means yes." When I walked onto that stage, hundreds of people stood and applauded, not because of my appearance, not because of pity, because they knew my story. For years, I believed my scars ruined my life. But standing there beneath those bright lights, I realized the truth. The people who truly cared about me never saw my scars as weakness. Only people empty on the inside judged others by what they could see. I shared everything that night. The fear, the pain, the loneliness. After the accident and the years I wasted letting other people decide my worth, near the front row, I noticed my parents sitting silently together. My mother was crying. My father couldn't even meet my eyes. And Vanessa, she never showed up. A few days later, she called me for the first time in months. "I didn't think it would go this far," she whispered. I stayed quiet. Then, she finally said the words I never thought I'd hear. "I was jealous of you, not because of my scars. Because despite everything I survived, people still respected me, while she had spent her entire life chasing attention." "I'm sorry," she whispered. And honestly, That apology didn't magically heal me. Some wounds stay longer than words. But I no longer needed revenge the way I once thought I did, because the truth had already done the work for me. Vanessa lost the image she built her entire life around, and I finally found peace with the woman I had become. Months later, I returned to that same beach alone. This time, I wore a simple swimsuit with no cover-up. The ocean breeze touched every scar I used to hide, and for once, I didn't feel broken. I felt free, because scars don't destroy us. Cruelty does. And sometimes the people who try hardest to shame you are only terrified that your strength will expose their weakness. That was the lesson my sister learned too late. And the lesson I'll never forget again.